WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boy, does it smell good.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
That's good.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. It means we're brought to you by Rouse's Market, working towards the weekend. Glad you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And lots to do here on this Thursday. Of course, LSU and Florida getting things going in the swamp on Saturday afternoon. I want to talk to you about LSU's emotional response to last week. Based on the player interviews that we did on Tuesday evening. We'll do that in 15 minutes. Derek Young covers Kansas State. He's going to jump aboard in 30 minutes. LSU at Kansas State tonight, 8 o'clock tip-off from the Octagon of Doom up in Manhattan. Should be an interesting one up there in the Little Apple. So we'll talk to Derek Young about this Kansas State basketball team, which is essentially brand new from last year. They've got 11 newcomers on this squad, so we'll talk to Derek about that. In the second hour, I'll give my thoughts on Kansas State basketball. Chris Blair is going to join us from Manhattan, but we're going to talk about football when he does that. And then Luke Johnson at 2:30. Used to have Luke at 1:15. Coach Rizzi has moved things around schedule-wise in terms of practices, media availabilities, and whatnot, so it works better for Luke to go in the second hour with us on Thursday. So we'll bump him back to 2:30 and talk Saints and Browns. I'm curious to hear how Luke feels about the matchup between Taliesin Fuanga and Myles Garrett. It'll be certainly Taliesin's biggest challenge since becoming the Saints left tackle this his rookie season. So tons and tons to do here on this Thursday, brought to you by Rouse's Markets. We start the same way we start each and every day, and that's with our Genesis opening drive. Got an opening drive for us?
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Let's get things rolling in a way that I honestly did not anticipate getting them rolling today. I was prepared to talk LSU and Florida, which we will. I was prepared to talk LSU and Kansas State, which we will. I was prepared to talk about Saints and Browns, which we will. But we got to talk about what's going on Twitter right now. And On3 continues to post these stories, and you care about these stories. It's very evident based on views on Twitter and impressions on Twitter, and then the views that we get and the clicks that we get and the questions that we get from you all day to day. It's all really anybody has talked about over the last couple of days. And it's Bryce Underwood, and it's Michigan. And I got friends texting me, and you're probably texting your friends and sending screenshots. So we got to react to it. This is On3, which reported earlier today that Michigan is prepared to offer Bryce Underwood $10.5 million over 4 years to flip his commitment from LSU to Michigan. I did basically this exact segment 2 weeks ago, and my stance has not changed from 2 weeks ago. The number has changed from Michigan. My stance has not. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into why we know what we know and why Michigan is doing what they're doing. Because Bryce Underwood has been committed to LSU for over a year. Over that time, he has made almost 10 trips to Baton Rouge on his own dime. You know how many times he's been to other campuses in a recruiting capacity? None. It's not that tough to get to Ann Arbor from where he is in Bellevue. Right up the road, 30 miles. Has he done that to visit with Coach Sharon Moore? No. Has he been to Michigan's campus plenty of times? Sure, absolutely. Been there to watch teammates play, been there for camps and workouts, been there for visits early in his high school career. It's the hometown team. But has he taken Michigan seriously in a year? There's nothing to suggest that he has. You listen to the guys that cover recruiting, Shea Dixon, Billy Embody, Sonny Shipp, Mike Scarborough, like whoever it is that you look at. No one has suggested that Bryce Underwood has taken a lot of phone calls from the Michigan staff or scheduled a trip up to Ann Arbor to go over things. He's all in on Baton Rouge. What has Bryce Underwood said Well, I want to go to LSU. Well, NIL is part of the deal, and we understand that, but it's not going to be about the money. It's about relationships. It's about development. Well, his relationship with Joe Sloan is fantastic. His relationship with Brian Kelly is fantastic. And LSU just developed a quarterback that's setting the NFL on fire right now. And Michigan can't complete a pass. They're terrible. They're 500. Nothing that was established over the Jim Harbaugh period appears to be still intact. The players are gone. The coach is gone. The offense is gone. The winning is gone. But they got $10.5 million. So toss it afloat. I just don't see any relevance in this story. I understand that On3 has paid Nakos and some of these guys and formed a Twitter handle just to deal with NIL, and that is their job. Their job is to deal with recruiting. Recruiting is largely impacted by NIL. This is the number one player in the country. It would be negligent of them in terms of what their business model is to not report this as news. However, I don't even care. It just doesn't matter. I think if they said, Bryce Underwood, we got $120 million, he would go to Michigan. And I also don't think that Michigan is offering 10.5 and LSU is offering $25,000 a year. I think that Bryce Underwood will be taken care of quite nicely in Baton Rouge to play for and with the people that have developed Jaden Daniels and have Garrett Nussmeier through 6 weeks really playing great football. So I just don't care about this story. And it just doesn't make any sense why this is breaking unless Michigan is just trying to save face. Because I don't have NIL amounts on any other recruits in this cycle. I have no idea what Harlem Berry's getting. I have no idea what DeCorian Moore got from Oregon. I have no idea what DJ Pickett's getting from LSU. I could go, I don't know. None of this information is around. And we're getting specified numbers from Michigan. And that's not coming from Bryce Underwood. That's coming from the Michigan collective to the folks that cover Michigan recruiting. Well, why are they telling them that? The only thing that I can think of is that Michigan staff, amidst a horrible season, is attempting to save face with its fan base. Hey, we tried, when in actuality, you probably didn't try hard enough. Because that had to be done a year ago, 2 years ago. This has to be a save face move. And we'll see how this plays out, because the very, very, very likely scenario is that Michigan is publicly declaring how much money they're offering a player who won't drive 30 minutes to go visit them or sign with them and will fly across the country to go play for LSU. And then you've got to deal with a bunch of signees in your class like, man, y'all had all that money? $10 million? When do we get some? And then you've got players on Michigan's team that are going, well, you had $10 million earmarked for Bryce Underwood. Where's mine? Well, if you don't pony up, because I know you have it now, I'm leaving. Ohio State's paying a lot of guys. This just doesn't appear to be sound strategy from Michigan's part, to me. Keep in mind, like, this is the only part now that I'm fixated on. I'm fixated on why is Michigan doing this, not, oh my God, Bryce Underwood's going to go to Michigan. He's not. And trust me, if he does, all this is on recorded. Beck can play it back. You can go to YouTube and click it. Go viral. Moron Homer Baton Rouge radio guy brushes off $10.5 million for 18-year-old. Looks like a moron. You can write the headline. I'm very willing to stand out on that limb. Because nothing Bryce Underwood has done or said would suggest that he's even close to taking this offer. He goes right to his Instagram handle when this is posted and puts up an LSU jersey. He was in Baton Rouge last week with a gold chain on, being applauded by the LSU fan base. He knows what coaches he wants to play for. He knows what school he wants to go to. It's why he doesn't look at the other options. And Michigan just continues to fire away on social media, which is completely unnecessary unless you're trying to save face. It's not going to help you save face, and it may cause you more problems in the locker room when that time comes. To me, and I continue to say this, I said it 2 weeks ago, I say it today, this is a nothing story. Nothing. I don't besmirch On3 for running with this. It's literally their job. But as a consumer, I would just tune this out. And I've got friends of mine that are so plugged in, not on what recruits are doing, but they pay attention all the time. And they're all petrified. And I'm just sitting here going, not me. I don't see this at all. You know when flips are coming. When guys visit other places. You start to read the tea leaves. Like, I think there's a good chance that there are 2 guys in this LSU class that could flip to South Carolina and Ole Miss because they've been visiting those places, because they're still corresponding with those coaches, because LSU's starting to get a vibe that might not be great, and that's just that's pretty obvious at this point. Underwood's just not in that camp. So I guess good job by the Michigan Boosters for putting a bunch of money together and blasting social media away, but you may be causing more problems than you know by doing it. And me, if I take my Hunt Palmer show hat off and just put on my I hope LSU wins football game hat on, I'm not even reading this, not even clicking on it. It's just a non-factor. I'd rather hear more about LSU Kansas State playing basketball than $10.5 million going to Bryce Underwood, theoretically. I'd rather know about the fact that LSU baseball is on the number 1 class in the country, or what Florida's injury situation is at quarterback coming up this week. This is a nothing burger to me. And I'll be very disappointed, but I will willingly come here and tell you I was an idiot if Bryce Underwood bails on a year-plus commitment and all the things he had said and goes to Michigan for the bag of cash. I'll sit right here and do it. Chair's not going to move. Mike will still be right here. As long as Beck hits the buttons, we're good. So it's a nothing burger to me. That's our Genesis opening drive, brought to you by Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. We spoke with some players back on Tuesday night as LSU gets ready for Florida. And look, I live in the world of you, the fan, as well, and I hear you, and so I'm always curious to get the impressions of the players and how they feel as the season progresses. And I've got sound from 3 different guys talking about how the team is approached this week. We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Speaking of that quarterback that LSU developed that's setting the world on fire, he's going to play tonight. That's Jaden Daniels with the Washington Commanders. They are in Philadelphia this evening for Thursday night football, and I'll be at ESPN Bet inside LeBears for Thursday night football. Invite you to come on out. It's going to be a heck of a night. I'm going to be watching some LSU in Kansas State, maybe on the laptop. If I can get them to stream it on the big screen, I'll try. But we're going to get a lot of Thursday night football on the big screen. I'll be watching both. You can come join me, Bet and Dine at ESPN Bet in LeBears. And I'll also ask that you download that Cover 5 app today. Get into the SEC contest. Enter the promo code LABRSEC24. You might go, it's late into the SEC season. It's okay. There are weekly winners every single week. So enter that promo code LABRSEC24 and play the Cover 5 contest against me and dozens of our listeners. If you're not a member, get the Pin Play app today. LeBears Baton Rouge, your live sports headquarters. Got to be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Okay. Chat with Derek Young, covers the Kansas State Wildcats, coming up in 15 minutes. LSU and K-State tonight from Manhattan, but LSU Florida on Saturday in the Swamp. And I'm curious about the energy for both teams. I'm curious about the motivation for both teams. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. I wrote about it on LouisianaSports.net as well. And I think it's a storyline because LSU has had some, SEC championship aspirations over the last 3 weeks, and they've obviously gone south. That door still exists. But it's a long way away, and that's tough sometimes for players at power programs to digest. If you lose 4 games at Purdue, I feel like you can't be stunned. You lose 4 games at Cal, you feel like, okay, well, we'll just get ready to go play Stanford. If you lose 4 games at LSU, you lose 4 games at Florida, you lose 4 games at Texas, like that's not something you were planning to do. And when some of those goals look like they may be coming off the table, I always worry about how players are going to respond. And far, far, far more often than not, players respond really well. We've seen LSU have some really underwhelming seasons since 2019, and I felt like LSU played hard throughout those. I mean, you could see that the team in 2020 that had things go south, and they end up beating Florida in the Swamp. They come back and beat Ole Miss in the Keyshawn Boutte game where he goes nuts. Like those teams were toast, and they played really hard. I feel like that's likely going to be what you get, but I'm also curious because I spend my time with LSU fans. My friends are LSU fans. My family members are LSU fans. My coworkers are LSU fans. People that listen to the show and tweet at me and then get in Bayou Ford chat, or people that I see at LeBear's tonight or Rouse's are LSU fans. And right now, morale is terrible in the LSU fan base. It's awful. All the message boards, all the Twitter is fire the coach, program shot, strength coach is terrible, quarterback's toast, get Underwood. Like, it's just morale stinks in the LSU fan base right now. That's just the way that it is. So I'm curious, for my first time this year since 2014, really, I get to talk to the players, which hasn't been the case. And so here's some sound from our discussions with some of the players, and we'll start with Emory Jones. And he was asked, are you aware that y'all can still make the SEC championship game? And keep in mind, like, sometimes these players are not aware of stuff like that. Josh Williams, like a month ago, I don't even remember what game it was. It was Tuesday. He didn't know what time kickoff was on Saturday. Like, they are not in your world. They're just not. They don't know. They don't focus on it as much as you do, more often than not. Some are very aware. Some are not as much. And Josh Williams has been in college for 6 years. Didn't know what time kickoff was on Saturday. So they're focused on kind of what they're focused on. But Emory Jones asked, hey, are you aware of the path to the SEC championship game?
We're definitely aware of it, and we know the situation, but we are focused on the next game. We feel like, we got to be focused. We can't be worried about 3 games down the line. We got to go do what we got to do in this game, and then the next game, and then the next game to, just keep our level of focus, intact. And, so we're not too much worried about the SEC championship right now. We're about Florida, and we're trying to make sure we win that game.
Making sure they win the game against Florida, but they're aware that is a possibility. And Emory Jones talked about why he feels like this is a good group of guys to respond to adversity.
We got a great group of guys in the building who want to get better, and that's all you can ask for, especially when you got younger guys, guys who want to continue to grow their game, no matter the circumstances. So we're just coming in with the mindset of getting better, getting 1% better every day still, and nobody's giving up. There's no give up in this team. So I'm really proud of the guys and how they're attacking it.
So that's a 3-year starter on the offense talking. And you would expect a mature approach from him. He's been through a lot in his 3 years. He started in his second game as an LSU Tiger. He's played an SEC championship game. He's seen a lot at LSU, and you would imagine he would give you a pretty mature approach. Now, Ashton Stamps is not significantly younger than Emory Jones, but he is a sophomore. He's a first-year full-time starter, though he played a lot last year. And it's a different side of the ball. So there are different issues. Those guys on the offense are worried about trying to run the ball. They're worried about stop turning the ball over. They had their lowest output of the season on Saturday as far as points and yards goes. That's your own deal. The defense, well, we know they had just a massive issue. They couldn't stop Jalen Milroe from running, and they've been bad for the last 6 quarters. And Ashton Stamps, I actually asked him, hey, what's the energy like, and what was it like after y'all got off the field against Alabama?
When we first got in here, after the game, it probably was a little down, but, we got the 24-hour rule, so that really, it plays a part in our program. So, like today, we was all happy, we out there having practice, having fun. So, we not really just sitting on that loss because it's not going to do nothing for us for, Florida. So we just got to be able to have a positive attitude, to be able to get a win for Florida.
I'm not suggesting that the players are going to come off the practice field and come into the interview room and look at us and I ask, hey, how's the energy been? Terrible. I hate our chances on Saturday. Like, nobody's caring. Nobody's trying. I talked to 3 guys that are going to enter the transfer portal, and we're all looking for more NIL money. Like, we're probably going to get whipped. I don't think they're going to say that. More often than not, they're going to give me a stock answer. But I also don't think they're completely blowing smoke. I think that young kids, especially the ones that play college football, are really resilient and are just excited to go play again. And they're not like the 36-year-old office supplies salesman. They're not like the 41-year-old attorney. They're not like the 56-year-old plumber that live, eat, and breathe the results of every single game, and a loss ruins their week. And first of all, it's good that LSU has people that care that much. If the LSU fan base did not care that much, you wouldn't have the tailgating. You wouldn't have the 103,000 people. You wouldn't have the NIL collective. You would not have the passion that surrounds this program that has helped make it so good. But I have talked to enough players back in 2010, 11, 12, 13 when I was covering the team day to day, talking to these players weekly after USC, after A&M, after Alabama. They're pretty resilient. And sometimes you lose. And it sucks. But I think sometimes they're not quite as affected as those of us who are a little bit older. And Ashton Stamps admitted, like, it was down on Sunday when we came in, but it's not going to do us any good. So we were happy at practice today. We were having some fun, and I believe it. They're out there practicing football with their friends.
You know, it's crazy. I cover high school football every now and then, and I've shot plenty of games where the team is 1-7, 1-8, and they're going up against a team that's, really good. And every single time that team runs through the paper where the cheerleaders are holding it, they're going crazy. They're excited. Even though in the back of their mind they may know we're probably going to lose by 30 points, but even at the start of that game, they're still ready to go. And the next week, they're still ready to go that week too. So, I agree with you.
It's fun to play. And I may be barking into the abyss here, and everyone realizes that. But I think that I'm just basing off my experience dealing with the people that I deal with the Sunday after you lose to Bama by 30 points that week. And I'm looking sometimes in the Bayou Ford chat, and you look at message boards, and there's so much negativity, and you talk to the players, and it just doesn't really carry over. Now, this last bite I think is the most impactful one, and it's the line that's going to close my story on LouisianaSports.net a little bit later today. But I do think that there is an element of importance here, and I don't think it's Emory Jones blowing smoke. I think he's being truthful when he talks about one of the reasons they've got to put the helmet on and go play. And this is Emory Jones about the motivation to go beat Florida.
Like I said, man, you can never give up. This is a business where you got to keep fighting, no matter the circumstances, like I said before. So, we owe it to the state of Louisiana to continue to get better and, continue to go out there and fight on Saturdays.
That one resonated with me there. Not everybody on this team's from Louisiana, but there is a pride that comes with being a Louisiana kid and putting that uniform on and going out to play. And I think in this era of NIL and transfer portal, that's still going to hold some weight. Does it hold all the weight? No. There are still going to be players from inside the state that go elsewhere. There are still going to be players from out of state that come to LSU. There are still going to be players that come to LSU from in-state and decide to transfer out after they've been here. You're never going to have 100% consensus on this. But I think there is an element of fighting for the state that does matter to a lot of these kids. And I think if you ask Emory Jones, if you ask Will Campbell, I think those two guys would suggest it's important to do that. I'm kind of running through the roster of guys that it may resonate with. I don't know them personally well enough. I've talked to Will Campbell and Emory Jones enough time in these player interviews to have a pretty good feeling for it. I know that Garrett Nussmeier calls himself a native Louisianian and that LSU is important to him because of his mom's family. Obviously, he's been all over the world, the NFL and college football world, which is the United States. But I think there are some guys on this team that feel that way, and so I think you're going to get a spirited effort from LSU. Do I know that they can run the ball in Florida? I don't. Do I know that Garrett Nussmeier is going to take care of the ball for 4 quarters? I don't. Do I know that LSU is going to stop the run? I don't. Do I know that LSU is going to win the game in Gainesville? I don't. Do I have a very strong feeling you're going to get a hell of an effort from LSU in terms of their energy, enthusiasm, especially early in the game? I feel pretty good about that. And that's the biggest thing I took away from interviews. Keep in mind, they're not going to tell us about game plan. They're not going to tell us about injuries. It's mainly just us to try to get an angle here or there for a story and get a little bit of a vibe check. And I felt like on Tuesday when I walked out of football ops that you felt like, hey, these guys take it better than the fans that listen to the show. That's the way it felt to me. And I'm not telling you I took it great on Saturday. You can hear me in the postgame show. You can hear Brandon Taylor in the postgame show. It can get a little spirited, but I think the players are going to play really hard on Saturday. So LSU in Florida, 2:30 Central Time. From the Swamp, I think they'll be ready to go. We'll see if LSU's basketball team is ready to go. Their first Power 5 test of the season comes tonight. 8 o'clock tip in the Octagon of Doom up there in Manhattan. Derek Young covers Kansas State, and we'll chat with him coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. I invite you to check out the lot. It's fairly new, brand new by lot standards. They've only been there a little over a year and change. It's an Airline and Pico, and you're going to be blown away at the line of vehicles that they've got at Genesis of Baton Rouge. When you think Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think luxury. They're sleek, they're stylish, they're exceptionally safe. The entire line of Genesis vehicles was given the IIHA top safety pick, and some of them were given the top safety picks plus. Every single model on the line comes with the same safety features. They do not take away from any of those when you go from the entry level all the way up to the highest end model. Every single Genesis of Baton Rouge purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty. Most of you don't even drive a car for 10 years. Valet maintenance, complimentary maintenance, all part of being a Genesis driver. Check them out on Airline at Pico. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve.
Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's Markets. Getting a game watching party together this weekend for LSU in Florida, or the Saints and the Browns. Rouse is always a fantastic spot. You got all your wine, beer, spirits, and all of your groceries as well. Thanksgiving's around the corner. They've got some fantastic specials over there at Rouse's. One, get a spiral ham, $2.99 a pound, free butterball turkey, but you got to do it while supplies last. So get on by any of your Rouse's locations, get that spiral ham. Comes with that butterball turkey, and you'll be set up for Thanksgiving. Don't wait until right before Thanksgiving. We got a couple of weeks here. Get it done now. You'll be glad that you did over there at Rouse's. There's a Rouse's location pretty much near everybody down here in South Louisiana, all the way over to Gulf Shores, Alabama. Bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. Always invite you to download the Rouse's app as well. Makes grocery shopping so much easier. You can do all your grocery shopping there on the app, and then they can have it ready for you to drive on in. They'll drop it in the back seat. You head on your way. Could not be any easier over at Rouse's. Rouse's, this feels like home. Got a lot to do on this Thursday. Best win, worst loss in the NFL and college football is coming up here at the end of this hour. Still got to give my thoughts on Kansas State. We'll hear some sound from Matt McMahon as well. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, is up in Manhattan, Kansas. He'll be on the call tonight with John Brady, courtside in the Octagon of Doom. And so we'll talk to him briefly about LSU K-State, but certainly want his thoughts on LSU in Florida from the Swamp. I was not there one time ago in the Swamp, but I was there 2 times ago in the Swamp for the fall game with the shoe throwing and stuff. That is a game fairly inconsequential in the history of LSU football, but definitely a game that I will remember forever. I was spotting for Chris in the press box and pointing out who was making catches, who was making tackles and whatnot for the broadcast, and it got to be like late third quarter, And I looked at Chris and I was like, hey, I have no idea what's going on down there. Like, I can't see. And it was a surreal experience because that was like my only job was to see. And I couldn't. And then they set up for the game-winning field goal at the end, and Cade York's dialing it up from 58 or whatever it was. And I looked at Chris and I was like, I can't tell. And so we're watching, and I got my binoculars out, and I'm watching Cade York kick this thing, and I'm like, I'm going to have to go based on his reaction because I can't see in the end zone. And York kicked it, and he started running. And I was like, that's got to be a good sign. And Chris, yells out, it's good, it's good. And that was an LSU team that wasn't very good, and it was an empty stadium. I looked up the attendance for Pluckers Trivia earlier this week, and the attendance was about 16,000 for that game. That was a really good Florida team. They were humming towards the SEC championship game, and they actually played Alabama, the eventual national champions, really close in that game with Kyle Trask at quarterback. But it's just such a surreal time to be there. I had been inside Tiger Stadium for the COVID games, but had never been obviously on the road for a COVID game, and it was an odd deal. And LSU won it. It was a crazy night inside the swamp. Beck, let's go while we're looking for Derek. Let's go to some of this Matt McMahon sound getting ready for Kansas State. Just his initial thoughts on K-State at the top of his press conference that was a little earlier this week.
They're playing really unselfishly on the offensive end of the floor, 20 assists a game. They're shooting it exceptionally well from three, where we've been really strong defending the three through 2 games. That will certainly be put to the test there. On the defensive side of the ball, great schemes, very unique coverages. It's disruptive. They're forcing 16 turnovers a game there. The rim protection has been fantastic. So really talented team and a great opportunity. It'll be a phenomenal environment, sold-out crowd. So looking forward to the trip to Manhattan.
He rattled off a bunch of statistics there. Some of them I think are relevant. Some of them don't. I always kind of hesitate on three-point defense as a statistic because there's just a lot of chance in that. Do I think LSU played awesome three-point defense on Sunday? I don't know. Alabama State couldn't throw it in the ocean. They went 1 of 20-something. So it looks good on paper, and if I went back and watched every single possession, I could probably tell you if I thought LSU really defended the three or whether or not a team missed a lot of low-percentage shots. But you're going to have to defend the three against Kansas State because they've got a couple of guys that can really, really shoot it. One of them is Brandon Howson, who is a Villanova transfer, who is 10 of 18 from three on the season. And I watched the highlights of their most recent game, and he was hitting them. He was hitting it off the catch from way deep. He hit a step back. He hit one in transition. He hit one off the dribble. He was pulling up from everywhere and knocking them down. And that's a guy that LSU is going to have to deal with in this game. And there's more personnel that I want to get to. But let's talk about Matt McMahon number 3 here, back about the rim protection that LSU has gotten, as well as Kansas State's three-point shooting.
I've been pleased with their interior rim protection so far. I think we've let the ball get to the rim too much. Some one-on-one defensive breakdowns. Certainly there's some schematic things there where we're trying to do a good job defending the three. It's 2 games, but the opponents are 4 for 34 from behind the arc, with one of them being a half-court buzzer beater. As I mentioned, that's going to be tested. You're looking at Kansas State 43% behind the arc. Howson's made 5 threes per game so far. NBA range, elite shooter. Max Jones 5 of 7 from 3. So they've really shot it exceptionally well, and their ball movement's been terrific. But there's no doubt we have to be much improved guarding the ball one-on-one off the bounce.
I liked LSU's rim protection back on last Thursday. Was that Wednesday? Can't remember. Doesn't matter. In the season opener, I liked LSU's rim protection in that game, and I thought there was a little bit more of it in the game on Sunday. They've got some length and some athleticism that they didn't necessarily have. Will Baker had some strengths last year, but one of them is not rim protection. Like he had some games where he shot the three pretty well, had some games where he really finished around the rim pretty well at 7 feet tall, but his game is nothing like Damian Collins. It's nothing like Robert Miller, and you're getting a little bit better defense from Jalen Reed as well. So I'm curious to see how that plays out in this game tonight, how LSU's able to protect the rim, and I'm also interested in how they can cover the three-point line. There's a personnel decision that Jerome Tang is going to have to make in this game that I'm very interested in. and it's at guard. The two starting guards for their first two games this year have been Max Jones, who we mentioned has shot it well from three, and C.J. Jones, two Jones boys who both happen to be 6'5". Max Jones is a Cal State Fullerton transfer. C.J. Jones is an Illinois Chicago transfer. They're both really long at 6'5". And Jordan Sears is 5'10". So that is an interesting matchup, I think, on both sides. Who do they guard him with? Can they keep up with him? Who does he guard? Is he too small to deal with them? That's going to be part of the deal with Sears all season long. When you got a 5'11 point guard, 5'10 point guard, sometimes you're undersized at that position, but sometimes it can work to your advantage if you're a little pesky. You get underneath some guys, you get some tip balls, you get some steals, you use your quickness to get around them into the paint, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how that would work, but my gut tells me I probably won't learn very much because even though he hasn't started either of the two games, they've got a kid named Doug McDaniel, and it's not D-O-U-G, it's D-U-G, which I enjoyed. He's 5'11", and he's played a lot of minutes. He's actually played more minutes than Max Jones, even though he comes off the bench. And he's 5'11", Michigan transfer, and I think him and Sears will probably go at it a good bit. Jordan Sears is vital to LSU in this game because he is going to have to control the tempo and control the pace for LSU in its first road game. That's something that is just, it cannot be overstated, because if you start going too fast and start trying too hard and start pushing the pace too much, you can get whipped into a frenzy on the road, and this is going to be a sold-out crowd. It's going to be on Springs. They like Jerome Tang in Kansas State. It's a basketball state. They've had a decent football season, but not, an excellent football season, and they like their basketball there. They're going to be ready to go for LSU coming into town. And you can go too fast, you can try too hard, and you can give up a 15-0 run like that. If your point guard is not under control, he's not controlling the pace properly. When you got to push it, you got to push it. When you need to stay in the backcourt and slow the game down and make sure you get a good shot, you need to do that. And Jordan Sears is going to get his first opportunity as a LSU point guard to handle that. And I think that LSU is going to lean very, very heavily on their veterans tonight. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Victorious Miller. I don't think you're going to see as much Robert Miller. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Curtis Givens. I think this is a Jordan Sears game, a Jai Bailey game, a Cam Carter game, certainly his homecoming to Kansas State. I think Jalen Reed plays a lot. I think Derek Fountain plays a lot. I think Damian Collins plays a lot. I think they lean on the oldest guys they've got on the team in this game. LSU does not play another road game for a month. They go to Frisco to play SMU on December the 14th. Today is January the 14th. And then your next road game is in league play. I think it's at Missouri. So you only have two true road tests. This is the first one. This is a new team. I think that Matt McMahon will probably lean on his older guys in this game. And it's a great opportunity for LSU to face some adversity and see what they can do on the road. Back, this is 6 from Matt McMahon yesterday, talking about seeing how his guys respond.
I thought the execution was much better in the second half. I mean, look, I think we were 59% from the floor, 57 from three. And after going 7 of 14 at the free throw line, we went 18 of 20 in the second half. So I thought our screening was much better in the second half. We moved the ball better. We made the right decision more often. Still too many careless turnovers that'll get put to the test against a very active K-State defense on Thursday. But it's so early in the season. We got to continue to get better in all areas. But screening, both on the ball and the off the ball screens, will continue to be an emphasis for us.
You heard him talk about that defense. Kansas State, as long as Jerome Tang is there, is going to be a team that is built on energy, effort, and defense. Jerome Tang is as high energy a coach as there is in college basketball, and they will be on Springs tonight ready to go at LSU. And it's a matter of how LSU handles it. We're going to go with 5 there, Beck.
Yeah, not ideal for game 2, but I think it was much needed. It was really the first time we've faced adversity with this group. Down 10 with 13 minutes to go, could have folded, but I thought stayed focused on doing the things we needed to do to get the win. I believe went 36-12 from that point to the close of the game. So you hope you learned a lot of lessons, both why you got down by 10 and then the things that we got accomplished on both ends of the floor to get a double-digit win, being in that situation, and especially going on the road for the first time. We know there's going to be some adversity there. So I think it does benefit us to have gone through a little bit on Sunday.
Let me be real clear. You play the first 30 minutes of this game like you did the first 30 minutes on Sunday, you will get run off the floor. I mean, run off the floor. I'm glad they handled adversity well in the second half on Sunday, and they did. They were down 10, and they played great the rest of the way. Carter and Sears were fantastic. But if you do that, what you did the first 30 minutes, which is not play great defense, really turn the ball over far too many times on offense, shoot it poorly early. If you do that in this game on the road, you will be down 26 points. I don't have any other way to say it. I don't think Kansas State's a dominant team this year by any stretch. I think they're a good team and it's going to be a really tough environment. They got a good coach. But LSU's going to have to play really well to stay in this game and to have a chance to win it. And I'm optimistic that they can. I think that this is an old LSU team. I think it's balanced defensively and offensively. And I think that they'll be okay in this game. I'm not picking them to win, but I don't think they're going to get down 26 points early in the second half. But it's just a matter of you're going to have to respond to some punches that Kansas State throws and rely on your veterans to score the ball late. And I think that LSU will be okay. Again, I think Kansas State will win this game tonight, but I think it'll be a great test to kind of see where LSU is. Keep in mind, LSU was bad in November and December last year, and they won 9 SEC games in a tough league. There is time for improvement over the course of a basketball season, a lot of it. This is not an indictment on the entire program if they lose by 12 tonight. But I think it could be a nice step forward if you do go on the road and find a way to win. So we'll see. 8 o'clock tip-off tonight. If you're asking where to watch it, it's streaming on ESPN+. Not going to be on your regular cable. So you'll have to go stream it like you do a lot of baseball games. But LSU and K-State tonight, 8 o'clock. When we come back, we'll close out hour number 1. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. How about a custom closet? Closet of your dreams. Can change your living situation. I tell you this story about us all the time. In the house Alyssa and I lived in right when we got married, we had terrible closets. They were tiny little built-ins that just there wasn't enough room. Couldn't put coats in there, couldn't put suitcases in there. We had clothes in the empty guest room. We had clothes in Myers' nursery. We had clothes that were up in the attic. We just didn't have enough room. And so when we decided to move, we were going to prioritize closet space. And we did, and we've got a great closet space in this new house, and it's made all the difference, especially for her. You don't have to move to make that happen. We just knew we were going to because we needed more room. But you can get the closet of your dreams in the house you live in right now. David Duvall and his team can come in with cubbies, come in with shelves, come in with drawers, come in with mirrors, racks, all types of things that can help you use the space more efficiently. Just give you a little bit more room. Avoid all the clutter. Start with One Bath and Closets. That process starts with a free consultation. You can find it online at onebathandclosets.com. It's One Bath and Closets. Onebathandclosets.com.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Closing out hour number one here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's. We do it every week. Best win and worst loss in college football and the National Football League. Starting to get to crunch time here in college football. I think the best win's pretty obvious to me. I would suggest that would be Tennessee going to Georgia and winning. For me, when I think about Tennessee football, really since 2007, they have been atrocious against Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. And for them to improve to 9-1 by beating Georgia in addition to Florida and Alabama, I think that's a monster season and a breakthrough for Josh Heupel. And he's done it with an incredible defense and a running game, not with the high-octane, high-flying offense we saw 2 years ago and that we saw at UCF. So for him to go on the road to get that win and essentially sew up a playoff berth would be pretty impressive for Josh Heupel and Tennessee. If you're an LSU fan, you're pulling for Georgia in that game. But I think that would be the best win in college football if Tennessee could go between the hedges and get that win. Worst loss in college football, a team that's riding high right now, and I don't anticipate that they will lose this game, but Colorado losing to Utah would be bad. Utah is a scrappy team. They also are a 500 team. And Colorado is trying to, in my opinion, this is my opinion, trying to maximize the best tie-in talent they're going to have while Deion is there. Because I don't think they're going to have a lot of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunters at Colorado while Deion is there. The possibility certainly exists he could prove me dead wrong. But I think Shedeur is going to go in the first 5 picks in the draft at quarterback. That's going to be a hard thing to replicate. And I think Travis Hunter might win the Heisman Trophy, might be the first, second, third pick in the draft. You tell me Colorado's got 2 top 6 picks in the draft, that's pretty easy to believe, and I don't think they're going to replicate that year in and year out. One of them just happens to be related to Deion. So I think that for them to lose this game on Saturday, and likely knock themselves out of the Big 12 title race and knock themselves out of playoff contention would be an awful loss for them. So Colorado losing to Utah is my worst loss on the board in college football. Best win in the NFL? Actually, I've got it Chiefs, who are undefeated and can definitely stomach a loss. But if they can win at the Bills, they would be in a fantastic spot for home field advantage. You look at the standings right now in the AFC, and you've got the Chiefs, who are unbeaten at 9-0. They would go to 10-0. The Bills would then fall to 8-3. I don't think anybody's taking the Steelers too seriously at 7-2. Like, home field almost starts to look like a cinch because the Chiefs have already beaten the Ravens, who were 7-3. And they will have beaten the Bills and be 3 games ahead of them. So to me, best win on the board is the Chiefs going to Buffalo and beating the Bills. And then the worst loss, I looked around at this. There are a couple that stand out. And I don't think if this team loses, they're in huge trouble. But it's just the disparity of the talent level and the production from these two teams that led me to this conclusion. I think the Lions losing at home to Jacksonville will be the worst loss. Usually worse loss has got a bolder connotation where you're losing ground in the division or you're losing a tiebreaker. That's not the case here for the Lions, but you can't lose to Jacksonville at home. The Jags look terrible, and the Lions have just looked fantastic. Hester was making fun of me yesterday for my Lions takes when Campbell got hired. I said, this guy is talking about kneecaps is never going to win anything. The best team in the NFL, how dare you? And I was like, well, that press conference is still stupid. But they look great, and he's been awesome there in Detroit. So best win, in my opinion, in college football, Tennessee at Georgia. Worst loss would be Colorado hosting Utah and dropping that one to the Utes. Best win in the NFL, the Chiefs going to Buffalo and getting a win to really cement themselves atop the AFC at 10-0. And the worst loss in the NFL would be the Lions at home to Jacksonville. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We talked to Bryce Underwood. Talked to LSU responding emotionally to the loss to Alabama. Talked to the LSU basketball against K-State, and then best win and worst loss. After SportsCenter, talk some LSU Florida. Chris Blair will join us from Manhattan as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after SportsCenter on the
Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports. EvolvePT.com is the website, EvolvePT.com. If you're in pain, no matter your age, if you're in pain, you need to go visit Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports because their job, their goal, and what they will do is get rid of that pain and get you to your active self. Whether that means I'm 63 and I want to go play golf, whether that means I'm 16 and I got to get back on the high school baseball field, whether that means I'm 66 and I got to play pickleball, whether that means I'm 40 and I'm trying to work out 4 times a week again. No matter what you're trying to do, if you're active and you're in pain and you can't do it, Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports will help you. It's going to be hands-on from start to finish. They're not going to hand you a piece of paper with some stretches on it. They're going to be with you, soft tissue manipulation, cupping, dry needling, scraping, isokinetic testing, all that stuff they can do in their state-of-the-art facility. It's on Starring near Highland Road. Check them out online, EvolvePT.com. It's Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports, EvolvePT.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. NFL Week 11 kicks off tonight with a battle for first place in the NFC East. The 7-2 Eagles host the 7-3 Commanders. ESPN's Jason McCourty says this game will test the Eagles' 5-game winning streak.
Is this team as legit going against a division opponent that's been rolling this year in the Commanders? And for Jaden Daniels, you're coming off a game that you lost on the last second to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers defense beat up on them a little bit. How does he respond in his rookie year to a little bit of adversity?
Jason McCourty, the annual NFL Scouting Combine will stay in Indianapolis for at least 2 more years. A deal announced today runs through 2026. Indy has hosted the Combine since 1987. The Tampa Bay Rays will play their home games next year at the Yankees spring training facility in Tampa. Steinbrenner Field can hold 11,000 fans. Tropicana Field was heavily damaged by Hurricane Milton more than a month ago. 40-year-old Lindsey Vonn is back with the U.S. ski team. She hasn't raced in 5 years.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Friday, Mike Tomlin has the Steelers rolling. I'll tell you why a win over the Ravens makes him the clear favorite for Coach of the Year. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boy, does it smell good.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
That's good.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse, is officially inching closer and closer to the weekend. Fired up, you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Chris Blair, 15 minutes from now from Manhattan, Kansas. LSU and Kansas State tonight at 8 o'clock on the hardwood. But LSU in Florida in the Swamp, 2:30 Central Time on Saturday. And we got our first availability report of the week last night. A couple of notable listings there on the LSU side. Garrett Dellinger listed as out. Not shocking. Had the ankle sprain against Texas A&M. Had the tightrope surgery immediately after. This will be 3 weeks since the tightrope surgery. Just not quite ready to go. So you would imagine Paul Mabenga will step in and play left guard for LSU. However, you did see a new name with a different designation on the injury report yesterday, and that was Tyree Adams as questionable. Tyree Adams had that fluke sports hernia thing in pregame against UCLA, and we haven't seen him since. I will be honest, and I didn't go back and look at this. I thought he was out for the year, apparently, but maybe that's not the case if he's listed as questionable. What I know is that Tyree Adams was the 6th offensive lineman for sure. If Will Campbell were to go down, Adams was going to go in. If Emory Jones went down, Adams was going to go in. If Garrett Dellinger went down, Adams was going to go in. If Miles Frazier went down, Adams was going to go in. If the center, DJ Chester, went down, you were going to see very likely Dellinger kick down to center and Adams go in at guard. So he was going to play any spot on the offensive line except center and was going to be the next man up for any offensive line injury as LSU ended camp and got into the season. And obviously he had that freak pregame thing, and it's kept him away from practice. Maybe he's available this week. I'm going to proceed as if Paul Mabenga is going to be the left guard, but I would now open the door that Tyree Adams could be that guy. I would very much imagine that Brian Kelly will be asked about this tonight at his meet availability, and we'll maybe get a little bit more clarity on that. But LSU's offensive line will be without Garrett Dellinger. That much we know. Here's what else we know. That LSU has not run the ball well against good teams. And I hear from people all the time. I did a radio spot in Lake Charles earlier today, and you have conversations, and the narrative is, well, LSU can't run the ball. Can't run it. Can't run the ball. And that's not completely true. They run the ball on mediocre teams, on lesser teams. They ran the ball fine on Arkansas. They ran the ball fine on UCLA. They ran the ball fine for the most part against South Carolina, who's got a good defense. They did not run it on USC. They did not run it on Ole Miss. They did not run it on Bama. They did not run it on A&M. But Florida is not any of those teams. They're not even South Carolina. Let me give you some of the rushing statistics that Florida has allowed. Miami was one of the teams they played. Miami ran for 144 yards on 33 carries. A&M ran the ball 55 times on Florida for 310 yards. Mississippi State, not exactly the Pony Express on the ground, ran it 56 times for 240 yards on Florida. Tennessee ran it for $143. Kentucky ran it for $144. Georgia ran it for $146. Texas last week ran for 219 yards. Florida gives up a lot of yards on the ground. And I would feel better about LSU's ability to attack that if Garrett Dellinger were playing. I would feel better about LSU's ability to attack that if Caden Durham got 50 of the 70 snaps instead of 20 of the 70 snaps last week. But we'll see. It's a new game. And I'm comfortable suggesting that LSU is going to make one hell of an effort to try to run the ball. You have got a quarterback that is very much in a slump. You've got a quarterback whose confidence is very much shaken. You've got a defense on the other side that has gotten gashed and gashed and gashed. You've got to try to run the ball. And I can hear y'all out there listening to me and going, they can't run the ball. They suck. They're weak. The strength and conditioning coach is terrible. Brad Davis, overrated. They can't run the ball. Hadn't been able to run the ball for 2 years. I hear you. They didn't run it great last week. They did not run it in Texas A&M. I got you. But those fronts have pros on them. Those fronts have second, third round picks. Florida's not that. If Kentucky, who has the worst passing offense in the SEC, can run it on them, if Mississippi State, who is going to throw up a bagel in league play this year, can run it on them, doesn't it stand to reason that LSU can at least try? Doesn't it stand to reason that LSU could run the ball 35 times for 165 yards on Saturday? I would suggest it does. I didn't say they would. I said it suggested they could. And they will absolutely try. And if LSU does run the ball and controls the clock like that, everybody can exhale in purple and gold. Garrett Nussmeier can exhale. Joe Sloan, the play caller, can exhale. The defense, quite literally, can exhale while they sit on the sideline and you run the ball. LSU's been at its best offensively this year when they have controlled the clock with a little bit of a running game and a very efficient short passing game. That's been the recipe. And I don't think that's going to change. I think LSU is going to try that again. And I just reject the notion, oh, they can't do it. Can't do it. I think they can. And I think there's a possibility, this is not a likelihood, it's a possibility, that they can break Florida's will a little bit, especially if a third-string quarterback's out there for the Gators. Because if they can start running a little bit, Florida's top two corners are out, LSU's wide receivers will get to work, and they'll be open, and I think Nussmeier will hit them, and I think LSU's offense has a chance to look very efficient in this game. Keep in mind, with or without DJ Lagway on offense, Texas against the Florida defense scored 35 points in the first half. A lot of folks suggesting, well, Texas hadn't played anybody. They're not that good. Well, if that's true, they still got up 35-0 on Florida. You can't mimic that in a way with a veteran quarterback, some good receivers, and an explosive running back. I would like to see that for LSU, and I think there's a real chance they can get that done. If they can't, you're going to get in trouble. as you have. If you do have to throw it 53 times, that's trouble. Too many opportunities for pass rush, too many opportunities for interceptions, too much pressure on the quarterback. But run it like Texas did for 219. Run it like Mississippi State did for 240. Run it like A&M did for 310. Miami 144. Kentucky 144. That's got to be the goal for LSU on Saturday in the Swamp. Those numbers have nothing to do with LSU. Have everything to do with Florida. They have nothing to do with LSU against A&M. They have nothing to do with LSU's strength and conditioning program. They have everything to do with the fact that Florida has not been able to stand up to rushing attacks. We'll see if that continues coming up on Saturday. When we come back, Chris Blair, Manhattan, Kansas in the Octagon of Doom. We'll talk some LSU Kansas State basketball as well as LSU Florida football. You're listening to a Thursday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every single Genesis at Genesis of Baton Rouge comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, plus 3 years of complimentary maintenance, oil changes, wiper blades, air filters, things like that, complimentary. And it's complimentary even if it's valet. We're in a delivery world. People want delivery. They don't want to go somewhere to do things. They want things brought to them. All right. Genesis Baton Rouge will play a game. They'll take a car to you. They'll take your car back to the service aisle. They'll handle the maintenance. They'll bring it right back. You always have a car if you need to run errands or make things happen. And then they'll bring it right back to you free of charge. That's part of the experience of being a Genesis driver. Genesis Baton Rouge, been here on Airline and PQ just a little over a year and a half. Go on by and see them. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. Say, I'd like to get behind the wheel of one of these Genesis Baton Rouge, see what all the fuss is about. I promise you, you will not regret it. It's a fine, fine line of vehicles, wonderful people to work with, state-of-the-art facility. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check them out online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Chugging right along here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Every Thursday, the Brian Kelly Show from TJ Ribs. Gordy Rush in with the head coach, Brian Kelly, this week. Not because Chris Blair's taking the day off, because Chris Blair's in the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas, for LSU and Kansas State tonight from the Octagon of Doom. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how's the Little Apple these days?
Well, it's nice. I tell you what, it's going to be pretty wild. Talking to some people yesterday when we got here, they haven't had a home football game in like 3 weeks. Had 2 on the road, then a bye week. And so last night, the town was extremely quiet. Nobody was out. We went to dinner. They closed early. And everybody kept saying that's because they're starting today. Thursday, they're kicking off the weekend, and the students are saving up to go Thursday through early Sunday morning. So should be a wild one inside Bramlage later tonight as they start their K-State weekend.
Kids can't go Wednesday to Saturday. Clearly not an SEC team, Kansas State. That's weak stuff. Get out there on the town on a Wednesday night. I'm excited to watch the game tonight. I'm sure it's going to be a packed house, and it's LSU's first real test against the Power 5. Through 2 games, what have you liked about this LSU basketball team?
I like their defense, and I like the way they're committed to playing defense. Doesn't mean they're perfect. Doesn't mean they've got, shut down potential. Yet to be seen, obviously, as the talent they face to get better, and that starts tonight. But, I mean, there's a commitment to play defense, and you've heard it, Hunt. I mean, guys, when they practice, when you're coming up, what do you practice in the backyard or, in the garage? You practice shooting. You practice offense. So you got to want to play defense. And I like the fact that, especially the backcourt, these guys are dedicated to be really good on-the-ball defenders. So I think that will get them, as the offense and the gelling of this team, gets a little better. I think the fact that they're committed to playing defense is going to help them early on. So, again, they'll get a big test tonight. Both of these teams they look a lot alike, especially evenly. And when you look at statistics, you look at where they are in the net rankings, when you look at KenPom, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. And hopefully tonight it's going to help that Cam Carter is very familiar with the Octagon of Doom. And can prepare the guys for what kind of environment they'll play in. But I like this team. I really do. I mean, you can take missing shots and not shooting the ball well, which we've seen in the first 2 games of the season. But you really can't hang a lot on their defense. They've made teams really have to make tough shots.
And I think you mentioned the environment. It'll be a really good one tonight there in Manhattan. And LSU's really old on the perimeter. Sears and Carter and Bailey are your starters who have played a lot of college basketball. I would imagine you expect that they'll handle the environment okay tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, because, again, you talk about the number of minutes they have in Division I basketball. They obviously have been in these type of environments before, and they're going to be in a lot more come SEC time. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. As I told you to start, they're expecting it to be a wild atmosphere. Coach Jerome Tang in his 3rd season, he's done pretty well there. He's 31-4 inside that building. So it's going to be a challenge. But again, I'm interested to see how they handle it, especially if they have some adversity early, because obviously they did against Alabama State, a team that came out ready to play and found themselves by 6 and then found themselves by double digits almost midway through the second half. And, the connectivity for this team with as many new pieces has been pretty impressive through the first 2 games. And they'll have to rely on that tonight to be sure.
Well, let's transition over to the football side of things. The offense, the turnovers, that's got to be weighing, I would imagine, on Garrett just a little bit. How important would a nice running game be for him on Saturday?
Well, it's going to be important. I mean, I think you and I talked about it last week. I mean, you're going into Game 9 of the season, you kind of are who you are. And unfortunately, that's who they were last Saturday. Outside of one run by Caden Durham on the first play of scrimmage that they couldn't cash in for a touchdown, that's about all she wrote for the night. And, I think Garrett Nussmeier, again, the quarterback's always going to get all the credit, and he's always going to get too much of the blame. But I think you're now looking as teams get deeper. I think a couple of factors, the inability to run the football and make anybody respect that you might either pull as the quarterback or have some success running the ball as running backs, makes a one-dimensional offense against really good teams, against really good coaching staffs that now have 8-9 weeks of game film to see what you do well and what you don't do well. Suddenly the quarterback now is in a position where we can't run the ball. Teams are being able to cheat in coverage. They got guys covered up. I'm running for my life because pressure's breathing down my neck, and I got to make a play. And we've seen some back-footed throws. We've seen some rush throws to the wrong side of the field or guys that he didn't see open, moving the pocket or banding the pocket when you didn't need to. And, again, I just think that's Garrett trying to make some plays because, again, there's a lot of pressure on him. When you can't run the football, you got to throw the ball. And, again, when you're throwing the ball 40, 45, 50, 51 times, as the old coach told me years ago, you put the ball in the air, 3 things happen, 2 of them ain't good. And, that's kind of where LSU's been over the last 6 quarters of football.
It's whenever I start talking about this football team, I try to bring myself back to where I was at the beginning of the third quarter in College Station. Imagining where we're sitting now, it's hard to even put it all together. Are you more surprised with the offense kind of bogging down for 6 quarters, or the defense just getting gashed for 6 quarters?
Yeah, I think it's the offense. And again, I just laid out moments ago why I think it's getting harder and harder without the running game. But still, you get deceived a little bit, Hunt, when you watch the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, and you're like, you know what? They just can't stop the passing attack. There's too many options, too many weapons. Suddenly, here we are over the last 6 quarters where they have taken those weapons away, and the offense has gotten a little on shaky ground. And to me, Saturday's important because it's a Florida team that, frankly, their coach got a vote of confidence, playing with house money. It's LSU in Florida, and while the divisions are gone, it's still a very heated rivalry. Again, you get all the press that came out earlier in the week that there is a way, and not a too far off the mark way, that LSU could end up in Atlanta. I mean, from a motivation standpoint, I'm interested to see who wants it more. And I think we'll, probably figure that out very early in the game on Saturday, because I think Florida would love to play spoiler. And I think for LSU, it's like, how do we get back on track? And if we're only a one-style offense, how do we out-scheme the other team who has seen 9 weeks, virtually 10 weeks of what we do on offense?
I'm curious. My opinion, and this is my opinion, I'm not a doctor, and I certainly haven't talked to DJ Lagway. My opinion is that Lagway is the linchpin of the entire football program at this point. He's 2 weeks off being carted off for a hamstring injury. I just don't think he's running 20 times if he even plays on Saturday. So if you take that element away, and it's either him not running a ton or they go to a third-string quarterback, how much more confidence does that give you in LSU's defense?
Well, I think it does. I mean, when I look back at the game films from the last 2 games, I mean, granted, there were some abysmal play defensively, and I'm not excusing it, but there also were some tough spots they were put into. I go back to the Alabama game. I look down at the end of the first quarter, and it just hits me, wow, we really didn't have the football a whole lot. Nope. I don't remember the numbers, but it was something like 11 to like a little under 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was 11 to 4.
And I'm thinking, okay, the defense has been out there quite a bit. And again, that's part of it sometimes. And then you go later in the game, really in the third quarter, you start to see just some kind of head-scratching missed tackles and out of position and some of the things we saw, week 1, week 2. But I think you're talking about 2 different styles of offense for Florida, depending on who goes behind center on Saturday. And to your point, even if it is Lagway, how much can he do on a bum hamstring, 80%, 70%, even 90%? Because you're at the risk of a season that's already in the tank if you're Florida. And you've got a freshman quarterback who certainly has the potential, I think, to be a great player in the SEC. And you're really, over the next 3 weeks, going to put him in there with a questionable hamstring. So I don't know how much of it is gamemanship, about he might play, and how much of it is real. But, again, if Lagway's in there, in theory, okay, now you've got to deal with another running dual-threat quarterback, which, again, LSU has struggled with, not all season, but the last 2 games. If they go to the backup quarterback, it's more of a pro style. He's going to drop back and try to throw. And if that's the case, I think LSU's defense has the opportunity to really get a get-back game and get right this Saturday. But we'll wait and see.
The narrative entering that South Carolina game prior to them beating Kentucky was like, yeah, they may not be great, but that fan base just shows up no matter what. I would not put Florida in that category. What kind of environment are you expecting in the Swamp for a 500 team that's got a coach that I don't know that everybody really believes in down there in blue and orange?
I'll be honest with you, Hon, and this is, my love for Gainesville.
Yeah, I do.
And the University of Florida. But it has been stunning to me, and I said this to Jacob last week. The last time I was at the Swamp, when it was even a shell of what the Swamp as, was 2018. I mean, and that horrible offensive game LSU had where they threw the pick late. But that's the last time you went into the place, and they started the great new tradition of Tom Petty and all that stuff. That was the last time I saw the Swamp actually be a factor when LSU has played there. I don't think it's going to be back to 2018 Saturday. I mean, the hardcore is going to be there. We'll get the Gator Chomps on the way in with the bus, but I don't think it's going to be the raucous atmosphere. And again, LSU, much like they did in Bryan College Station with 130 million people, was able to get the crowd somewhat out of it early in the first half. They just weren't able to finish. They opened the door, they let it get back, and suddenly it steamrolled. I don't think you're going to have that issue on Saturday. I know the Swamp is the Swamp, but I don't think that's going to affect gameplay. And I also think LSU's got to find a way offensively, whether it is 138 million in the stadium or 65,000. You've got to be able to make that decision, get to the line, maybe one check at the line, and then you got to go.
Yeah.
Because we saw some false starts and close to delay of games and early timeouts burned at home on Saturday. That just shouldn't happen.
John Brady and Chris Blair, they'll be not courtside. I just saw the picture. They'll be up in the rafters of the Octagon of Doom, but they'll have your broadcast call tonight for LSU and Kansas State. And then Chris will be headed to Gainesville for the Saturday kickoff. Chris, thanks for the time. Travel safe.
You got it. Thought I was back in the Southern Conference. We'll doubleheader action at the Bramlage tonight. So, yeah, we got moved to the rafters, but we'll make it.
All good. Thanks, Chris. He is Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. I don't have enough confidence to tell you where to listen to that game in Baton Rouge because I know that we've got the coaches show, the Brian Kelly show, and the basketball game. One's on Eagle, one's going to be on Talk, but I don't know which one, so I can't tell you. But they're both going on tonight, so if you just check Eagle 98.1 and Talk 107.3, you'll find them. We come back, we'll talk with Luke Johnson on the New Orleans Saints as they get ready for the Cleveland Browns. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services, boudreauxelectrical.com is the website. Love telling you about my friends at Boudreaux's Electrical because they can provide you with the peace of mind of knowing that you're not going to lose power when those storms come through. Whether it's one of the afternoon storms in the summer that just knocks the power out in 10 minutes and it's just a nuisance, or it's a hurricane that could leave you without power for a week. If that's the case and you don't have a Boudreaux's Electrical Generac generator, make the call. 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562 or 225-300-9389. That's the Gonzales location. Wherever you are in our listening area, Boudreaux's Electrical can come help you out. It can be a commercial job, it can be a residential job, but if you need the peace of mind of knowing that you're not going to lose power when the power goes out because that generator is going to kick on and power you up, call the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical or check them out online, boudreauxelectrical.com. Every single Generac home standby generator that Boudreaux's Electrical sells you comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty based on the type of generator that you buy. 7 to 10 years, you've got that peace of mind. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. Check them out, boudreauxelectrical.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Rouse's, official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Looking to get your Thanksgiving supplies, no better spot than the folks over at Rouse's. Locations all throughout South Louisiana, all the way over to Gulf Shores, Alabama. Rouse's, this feels like home. Let's talk some Saints. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for The Advocate with us every single Thursday. You can find him on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson or right here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
It is our pleasure to have you on. Eric McCoy looks like he is trending towards returning. What would that mean for the New Orleans Saints offense?
I mean, he's just such a huge part of what they do. Look, it's kind of hard to quantify like the value of a center. You know, it's not like an obvious offensive line position, kind of like the offensive tackle. It doesn't really show up in these really clear ways, but I mean, you could just look at what they did offensively when he was in the lineup versus what they've done offensively without him in the lineup to see how important he is. I'm not saying they're going to go back out and start scoring 45 points a game like they were in the first 2 weeks, but the fact that he's A, just a very good player, and B, he's like the very clear leader of that room. Guys follow him, pay attention to him. The stuff he does. It's going to be a huge boost having him back in the lineup. There's no doubt about that.
Let's go from a perceived weakness of the Saints with that offensive line at times and go to a perceived strength entering the season. That's, of course, the secondary. Now you have Paulson Adebo out for the year. Marshawn Lattimore plays for somebody else. Time now for Kool-Aid McKinstry, who practiced yesterday, as well as Alontae Taylor, to move out to the outside. Do you feel like that's likely the future of the organization at corner?
I think so. I don't know what's going to happen with Paulson Adebo. I think he was on his way toward kind of playing his way out of being in New Orleans. Just he was going to be too expensive for him. They had replacements kind of in-house. Who knows what's going to happen now that he broke his leg? It might be in his best interest to come back at like kind of a discounted price. But I still think that you're looking at McKinstry is the undoubted future of this secondary. And I think for Alontae Taylor, just out of necessity, being forced to play on the outside, I think that's probably his best position. So he could be like kind of a future star there. And I've really liked what I've seen out of Kool-Aid McKinstry and just kind of limited opportunities for him. So it's going to be really kind of fun to see how these guys match up with teams down the stretch. They face some pretty good passing attacks in these last several weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing it because I think they have an opportunity to be a really good unit with those guys.
If I'm a DB, I don't know if there's any quarterback I'd rather play against in the league than Jameis Winston. He's typically pretty generous. He was last week with 3 interceptions. How do you think that the Saints corners, these two, match up on the outside with Cleveland, and can they make some plays against Jameis in that passing attack?
Well, I think if there's one thing this secondary's done well this year, it's make plays in the ball. Obviously, like Paulson and Debo was a big part of that. Marshawn Lattimore didn't make any picks, but he's kind of traditionally been a big part of that. But still, they're going to have opportunities. Tyrann Mathieu was joking about it yesterday. He was like going to tell Jameis he's looking forward to him throwing a couple balls his way. This is just what he is. It's what he does. He's an aggressive quarterback who tries to make throws that other guys don't want to make. Sometimes that looks incredible, and sometimes it looks like it did last week. And I think the Saints secondary has really throughout the year, throughout really the last couple of years, has capitalized on opposing quarterbacks making mistakes with football. So, I mean, we'll see. Like, Jameis could come out and throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. It would surprise nobody. Jameis could come out and throw for 204 picks, and it would surprise nobody. It's just he's super volatile as a quarterback. Just kind of got to see which player we're going to see.
Let's go back to the Saints offensive side of the ball. I'm talking about young players here. And Tala Ese-Fuanga is going to be looking at one of the best players in the National Football League, and Myles Garrett, for a lot of the game on Sunday. How do you see that matchup?
I really like Tali Fuaga. I think he's had a pretty good rookie season, but he's kind of hit a little bit of a wall here in the back half of the year. We've seen him struggle more against true speed rusher guys, which is not exactly what Myles Garrett is. But I mean, Myles Garrett is he can do anything.
Yeah.
That would be a concern for me, and they're going to have a plan for how to help Fuaga out there. So I just don't think you want him on an island against the best pass rusher in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Trey Hendrickson's leading the league in sacks. I was just looking this up today. I'm pretty sure Myles Garrett is leading the league in pressures. And he can beat you in any number of ways. So they're going to have to give him help out there. That's for absolute sure.
All right, give me a vibe check on the team in the locker room in the last few days. I know there was a big breath of fresh air last week. Is that kind of continued? Is that just something you can count on for a week? What's your sense of how the team feels right now with its new leadership?
Just being honest, it's been a little bit different than last week. Last week you could feel it, right? I went into last week thinking the Saints had a chance to beat Atlanta, and I would not have picked them in any other of the previous weeks. But you could feel the vibes take a turn last week, and maybe it's just because I'm basing it off of what last week was, which felt so different. It hasn't quite been the same this week, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. At the end of the day, there's still a 3-7 football team who's got a lot of stuff to figure out. I still think it's positive around here, but it's not just the for lack of a better term, the free captive syndrome that last week felt like. So I don't know, man. We'll see. But the Browns are also really struggling right now, and this could just be this is a team that, yes, they're 3-7. The Browns are 2-7, but this is a team they should beat, and they got to focus on business this week.
When it comes to guys on the outside, MVS made a couple plays in the game on Sunday, but it's a cast of characters out there for sure. Who can they lean on?
I don't think they can really lean on anybody in this receiver core. It's the fact of the matter. MVS does some really nice things, but this, who he was last week is kind of who he's been throughout his career. He's somebody who can give you instant offense, big play, but he's not somebody you're going to give 10 targets a game. And go to on 3rd and 7 when you need to move the chains. I think they just have to be, the assembly of parts. It'll help this week. They're getting Cedric Wilson back probably. He's a veteran guy. He's got a lot of work with Derek Carr this off season and training camp and the beginning part of the season. I think that helps. I actually really liked what I saw out of Kevin Austin last week. Kind of limited opportunities. He only had 2 targets, but made a really, really nice sideline catch. Another big catch on their only scoring drive of the second half. And he's a big guy who can move. I'm interested to see what else he can do, and I'm kind of thinking we'll see him again on the active roster this week, even though he's still on the practice squad. So they've got some decent pieces, but I don't think there's anybody there that they can truly lean on as their number one right now.
Is there a realistic chance that Darren Rizzi or Clint Kubiak could be the next coach of the Saints?
I think there is. I think there's a decent chance that Rizzi is at least part of the conversation. I would be surprised if Kubiak is part of the conversation for head coach this year. But Rizzi, I think, depending on how this last stretch of the season goes, I think could be in line for it. But you got to also think that maybe this is an organization that wants to just completely turn the page from the Peyton era. It hired one of Peyton's old assistants the last time out. It didn't work out well. Maybe they are just ready for something completely new. I don't think that's something we can discount. So Rizzi, yes, I do think that he's going to at least be given an opportunity to interview for the job. We'll see how these last couple of weeks go. I would be surprised with Kubiak, though.
Are any of the Saints being asked to go play for the Pelicans?
Look, I've seen these guys play ball in the locker room on the small hoop they have. I don't think they want to do that, but it might be desperation time for the Pels. It might be another 2 months before I can will myself to go to another Pels game. So,
all right, well, will yourself to the Superdome on Sunday. We'll talk next week. Thanks, man.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
Luke Johnson at by Luke Johnson's got a great piece up at the Advocate right now about Tyrann Mathieu. Go check that out. And the Saints have got a good chance to win again on Sunday because the Browns are not very good. But I think there are some things to watch in this game, even outside of the actual results. I know that when you get up on Sunday, you're thinking, all right, are the Saints going to win today? But if you're talking about the future of the organization, how does Taliesin Fuanga handle himself on Sunday? That's a big deal. How does Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry look as a duo at corner against a guy who will turn the ball over? That's worth taking a look at. Am I super interested with how Derek Carr plays on Sunday? I don't know if I could go that far. Am I super concerned with the development of Alvin Kamara and the Clint Kubiak offense? Probably not. But I think there are some things that you could look at towards the future of the organization that are worth a look on a Sunday, in addition to whether or not the Saints win. And I'm not, certainly, don't misunderstand. I'm not telling you that caring about whether the Saints win or not is stupid. That is not the point I'm trying to make. I'm just kind of analyzing the roster and kind of the direction of the franchise, because that's what you're forced to do when you trade your best defensive player and then your head coach is gone. What do we got here that we can work with? Fuaga appears to be that. Let's see. And then what does that new corner duo look like? Because you got one that plays for another team now and one that's got a broken leg and may not be back. So it's kind of where my head is with Saints and Browns. We'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow as we get ready for Saints and Browns noon on Sunday from the Dome. All right, when we come back, we'll close it out. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Jonathan Carbo and his team at Highland Insurance Group want to hear from you. If your only relationship with your insurance broker as a business owner is, call me 2 weeks before the renewal, I come over, I say it's expensive, sign, and then I see him the next year. Maybe you ought to call Highland Insurance Group, because you ought to be able to trust your insurance broker, and they ought to feel like part of your team. Your attorney feels like part of your team. Your CPA feels like part of your team. Your insurance broker should feel like part of your team. Their job is to help protect you when something goes haywire. And you can't always predict when that's going to happen. But if you're not protected and it happens, it could be a massive blow to your business. You shouldn't be concerned with that all the time. You should be concerned with running your business. But you should trust your insurance broker to know that when that car accident happens, when that hurricane blows through, that your property limits are correct and your deductible's right, and that your cyber insurance limits and coverages are correct, and that you don't have exclusions that may cost you a lot of money down the road. I was in this game for 7 years. I know how it works, and I know Jonathan Carbo and his team are fantastic at what they do. So if you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker and you're looking to get that, the Highland Insurance Group can absolutely help you with it. It's highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can find them online at highlandig.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Tomorrow, Football Friday here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You ought to know the drill by now, but I'll help you out if you don't. Start at the same time as we do every Friday. That's 7 to 10 on Off the Bench. Jake and T-Bob will be right here in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio. We'll be finishing up at 10 o'clock. And at 10, go to Rufino's for Live at Lunch. It'll be Charles Hannegriff, Richard Dixon, Jimmy Ott, and their whole cast of Friday characters from 10 to 1 for Live at Lunch. I'm 1 to 3 here on the Hunt Palmer Show. AFR from 3 to 6. And then when Matt's done, 6 o'clock, Louisiana Prep Preview Playoffs cranking up around the state. Kate will get you ready for that. Catholic high football.
No Catholic. They have a bye because the top 6 seeds in all the select schools get a bye week. Well, they're the 1 or 2, but it's really dumb. But yeah, they have a bye.
It's so dumb.
Yes.
It's so stupid.
Yep.
And it's amazing to me that a bunch of people can get into a room and determine this. But
yes.
It's not my issue. I don't have a kid in high school. I'm not in high school. They can do whatever they want.
The Flyers, though, Hunt, that they're in.
The Flyers, they're generally not a strong outfit.
They're a 10 seed this year, so they had a pretty good season comparably for their standard.
My senior year, we were 2-8. I didn't play. We were 2-8, and it was Katrina year.
Yep.
And the 2 got us in as the 32 seed, which was the final seed in the 2A. So we were sent to John Curtis Christian School.
Oh, no.
I sprained my ankle in the basketball jamboree that Tuesday, so I couldn't go. My foot was in a bucket of ice. It was the same weekend Jamarcus hit Dwayne Bowe in the end zone for a touchdown against Alabama. But I couldn't go down and see my buddies play. But they played against John Curtis. They had a fellow by the name of Joe McKnight.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
On the team.
He was pretty good.
Joe that day had 3 carries in the ball game. He had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that's a strong work. He did not play after that. I am told, although I can't verify this story because I wasn't there, I'm told that our kicker was so nervous for the opening kickoff that he shanked the ball so poorly that it barely went 10 yards and Loyola recovered as a
onside,
as
on
a
accident.
non-surprise accidental onside kick.
That's impressive.
But I think that was the last positive play for the Flyers that day.
Yeah.
So I'll be pulling for the Flyers, whoever they got tomorrow. Apologies if that's someone in the listening area. That's my alma mater. Sorry.
They're playing New Orleans team, I think. So.
Okay, well, that doesn't sound good.
No.
I could just throw a dart at any New Orleans team, and they're probably better than Loyola. But we'll see. Pulling for the Flyers. Hopefully they get it done coming up on Friday night. But, we'll have no Catholic high football tomorrow, but we will have Louisiana Prep scoreboard after all the games go final. So if you want to get caught up on all the scores around the state, Kate will have you covered tomorrow night starting at 10 o'clock. So that's your Football Friday live and local from basically 7 a.m. to midnight tomorrow on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Let's play Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. The Tampa Bay Rays will reportedly play at Steinbrenner Field, the Yankees' Tampa spring training facility next year. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I don't know what their options are, so I'll take it. It's okay in theory because they don't draw more than 11,000 anyway, and Tropicana got destroyed by the hurricane, so they don't have an option of playing there. But there's a real problem with that.
Yes.
Are you on my page here?
Yeah.
We got real weather problems in Tampa in the summer.
Yeah.
I went to Stream Song to play golf, which is between Tampa and Orlando. We got pulled off the golf course 4 times in 3 days. So, there's just rain all the time. There's lightning all the time. There's a reason they're the Tampa Bay Lightning, the hockey team. So they're in for a long summer of weather delays there at Steinbrenner Field.
All right, next one here. Jalen Rose went viral a couple nights ago. He was at a Miami Heat game, and Coach Eric Spoelstra tried to call a timeout. There were no timeouts remaining.
Technical foul.
And they showed a video of Rose after it happened, just completely just flabbergasted. You could tell he just had the PTSD from the Final Four with Michigan. PTSD, take it or leave it.
I mean, I'll leave it on that one. I don't know if there's quite as much at stake for the Heat in this November showdown, but I understand that Jalen may not be wild about watching that highlight 9,000 times over the course of his life. I wish I was around for the Fab Five. I was too young to take that all in. But I did watch the documentary, thought it was really good, even though they took a little bit out, and it was by those guys' point of view. But it was interesting to hear the thoughts on Duke. And then the I Hate Christian Laettner doc that came out later, and Christian Laettner was like, I was undefeated against Michigan. But it's, I get it. Jalen doesn't want to see that. I understand.
All right, next one here, the Jamie versus Chief Classic. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I'm going to be out the box tomorrow. For those that have no idea what that means, that is Jamie Tutko, LSU's director of video and player development over there. And then Chief, Mark Wanaka, who coaches first base and does their defensive alignment. They'll be coaching the boys this weekend starting tomorrow at 4:30. I'm going to get to see a little bit of that one, and then I'm going to hope to see some on Sunday as well, so I can put something up on LouisianaSports.net and maybe talk about it a little bit on the show next week. So, I'll be out there tomorrow. Looking forward to watching a little bit of fall baseball. Again, if you're wanting to go out there and check them out, you can tomorrow at 4:30 at the box. Admission is completely free.
All right, last one here. The Pelicans unveiled their new City Edition uniforms.
I saw them.
Uniforms are take it or leave it.
I mean, what do you think?
I think you're going to leave it.
Neon green.
No, they're purple.
Well, they got neon glow in the dark.
They do have neon green on them.
I will say this. I looked at the responses on Twitter to the drop of the uniforms. Everybody loved them.
Yeah,
so
people like them.
It blows my mind that you could like something that looks that stupid and has none of the team colors in it. That really blows my mind, but people love them.
Nobody cares about that anymore. Unfortunately for you, nobody cares about the team colors anymore. They just care if it looks cool.
Well, define cool.
I think the design. Look, I'm with you. I think that the Pelicans should have colors that are representative of the team.
Of the team colors.
And, yes, they should have those. But we just have to. I'm accepted. I've accepted the fact that this is going to happen.
Okay. Have you accepted the Cubs navy pants?
No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. But I've accepted the NBA is going to have 8 uniforms every year. They're going to change the uniforms every single season.
And the courts are going to look ridiculous.
And the courts are going to have glow in the dark black light on them. So that I've just accepted it and I'm okay with it. And at least if they're going to do this, at least make the uniforms look pretty cool. I don't hate these. I think they're better than the ones last year because they were just black and green last year. At least this has purple and gold in it.
Who wrote that country song, You've Got to Stand for Something or Fall for Anything? I don't know who said it, but I have to stand for something. I have to stand for teams wearing their team colors when they play sports. If I can't stand for that, what do I have? You got nothing left. There's nothing left after that.
That's true.
So that's it for Take It or Leave It. How about this? For the Pelicans to wear those god-awful uniforms,
Maybe win a
they
game.
need to win a game.
Yeah, maybe
you have
win
to
a
win
game.
one game
Just
between
one.
now and June, and you can put those uniforms on.
Yeah.
That's my take on that. All right, that's it for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Rouse's Markets. I opened the show today talking about Bryce Underwood. I think it's not a story. I understand why On3 is doing it, but if you want to hear my full thoughts on Bryce Underwood, you can do so at YouTube Hunt on LSU. LSU's football team is responding pretty well emotionally to the loss on Saturday. I talked to 3 of them over the weekend. We played some sound for you at 1:15. We had talked to LSU Kansas State at 1:30. They'll tip that off at 8 o'clock tonight. Best win and worst loss at the end of the hour. Chris Blair was at 2:15. Luke Johnson at 2:30. You can find that at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. LSU and K-State tonight at 8 o'clock. Hopefully the Tigers can get it done. We'll talk about that tomorrow, plus a whole football Friday full of pigskin. Hope you have a great Thursday. Even Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. I'm at LeBears tonight. Hope to see you then. If not, same time, same place tomorrow.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com. They can do whole home audio. They can do television installation, video surveillance. Anything you need electronically, basically, Mitchell Fisher and his team can do for you at Audio Video Security Solutions. If you are building a home or thinking about building a home, listen up. The best time to make that call to your audio video service is before you start the build, so that they can go in during the build and do everything quite simply, so that by the time you move in, it's all up and running. If you're building a home, putting a great home entertainment system in there, Mitchell Fisher and his team are happy to do it at Audio Video Security Solutions. This is Mitchell's cell phone number. You start the process with him. It's 225-439-7920. Again, that's 225-439-7920. Give him a call. Tell him that's what you're interested in. He can get that process started for you. As always, you can find him online, avssla.com, Audio Video Security Solutions.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by